it end? When will it end? It is plain to see, universally this land is not bountiful as it was, simply because in his quest for success, nothing stands in man's way. All rivers run dry, soon the birds will fly, the mountains will be no longer high. And when I really think of it, I just wonder why, oh why. I see charity deplored, equal rights totally ignored, wisdom and ingenuity working in accord, simply to afford such inventions as thermonuclear warfare and environmental warfare. And I wonder now, where do we go from here? Prophets everywhere gaze upon the horizon and declare that judgment will come as the savage hands of unscrupulous men defile everything passed by. Time is running out as we eat and drink species at the brink of peace.
My apology there, of course. It seems as though it's a long time, but we know it's just a couple of days. That means as it may, of course, pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, or Prince Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. I am tonight, of course, should I say, saturated or imbued with, of course, mixed emotions. I am both angry on the one hand and very, of course, sedated, and a feeling of pleasantry has overcome me tonight. But I want to, of course, warn those who want to interfere with God's work. Those who believe that they are superhuman and that they're here to turn stone. And that, of course, nothing that man could conjure up can affect them, particularly in the context of Trinidad and Tobago and in the context, of course, of acquiring a high office in this country. Because the Bible has a saying about persons like that who abuse their power and their offices. It is called, of course, evil, wickedness in high places. Wickedness and evil in high places. And ignorance, as is with the criminal law, is no excuse. Ignorance, as is with the criminal law, and your lack of knowledge thereof is no excuse for the infringement thereof. You see, tonight, whilst of course I am compelled to talk about, of course, our progress so far as the elections is concerned, I want to tell you off the cuff that we are ready. We are ready to roll out. The UNC will be having, of course, the launch of their candidates tomorrow. But, of course, I suspect that we will have a common launch at an appropriate date. I want to tell you as well that we have one candidate of our choice because we thought it would not have made sense to displace the candidate for Laventil East Morvan. We thought he did well on the last occasion, so we asked the UNC to retain that person because we would have wanted somebody equally, if not could meet the match, in other words. But let's go straight, of course, to the calls. I see that you are raring to go. Let me, of course, pause for a cause, and then, of course, we will take calls. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
Yes. I am Shira. You don't know me, but I look at your show every night.
Okay.
And now I am not getting on to it. The last I saw is the 19th.
All right. Hear what? If you are on Facebook,
I am on YouTube.
all right. Okay. Right. So you have to log into Corridor Transformation and do a little scrolling. I think there has been some mix-up because what I did in trying to carry the ground report at the same time, I think there might have been some mix-up because on mornings we carry the ground report as well. I'll have to discontinue that arrangement if there because it's not you alone. I want to say there are others who are complaining. So what you need to do is to scroll. Of course, you will be scrolling for the 23rd because I did in fact make certain that I put in the date so you will know that you are you are contemporary. But more than that, you will see the word, I think in red, live mark next to the particular program. So you shouldn't have a problem tonight if you would do that. All right? Sorry about that. Sorry about the inconvenience.
Thank you.
Yes, it's crucial time that I know that the information is crucial. Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right. Then. Yes. Again, of course, for those of you who are getting difficulty, let me just check. Let me just check to make sure because we have an internal monitoring, but everybody is active. Who painting? Who seen about electricity? Who seen about covering an uncovered area that the office we would have inherited? Who painted the floor? I mean, it is a beehive of activities, all for one purpose, to get rid of this evil called the PNM. And of course, to make certain that Laventille is part and parcel of that historic event. And in order for us to do that, we must not only be prepared. It is said that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Let me repeat. It is said that luck is when preparation meets opportunity, or whichever way you can use it interchangeably. When opportunity meets preparation, it doesn't matter. The outcome must be that you can take advantage of it. And I say so because in recent times there has been, of course, an exception to this rule. You see, Stuart Young was never ready, but the opportunity came. And so he is floundering, and he's like a headless chicken, as my mother would say, all over the place. And tonight, I am going to express my disgust, my disapprobation, my deep concern that with the level of ignorance, and I'm going to be sarcastic, yes, I'm going to be vitriolic, yes, and it's nothing that you are unaccustomed to, but tonight is a special one because it is steeped in my religion. You see, I am a spiritual shouter Baptist, and shouter Baptist is crucial to my religion. The term shouter Baptist. That is why we have the St. Barbara's Shouter Baptist Primary School. We have the Council of Elders, which is the governing body. Council of Elders Shouter, Spiritual Shouter Baptist of Trinidad and Tobago. All have shouter. You know, I'm out to play it for you tonight. You know this dunderhead, this boo-boo, pretending to be some kind of prime minister, talking about the Chinese man, Young. You know, he said that he had cabinet, and he asked them why Shouter Baptist is a part of the appellation or the terminology or the reference to the Baptist community. A poor, I would say in normal circumstance, a poor fella. But no, I cannot say so. Because he is supposed to be prime minister and should know at least those basic tenets of the fundamental basis for us coming together as a society. Talking about, of course, respecting, of course, the fact that we are multi-religious, multi-ethnic, yes, and multi-ideological within the confines of decency and the rule of law, and of course the arrangement via the Constitution that all of us have agreed, of course, upon to exist on this plot of geography called the Trinidad and the Tobago. And I say to him, shame on him to even consider that. But he tried, of course, clearly, a Rowley, talking about divesting colonial past and want to put his own stamp on some colonial, what I consider to be offensive gesture or symbol. We saw it, of course, when the three ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, the three ships are symbolizing the presence or the coming of Christopher Columbus to the New World in 1492. And that was removed from the emblem or the symbol that speaks to Trinidad and Tobago as a unique place, distinct from other nations and other countries. But the fact of the matter is that is neither here nor there. That is not significant. And the fact is that has been our history. What you will do, rewrite history? But of course, let me get back to the latest faux pas, the latest dunderheaded and ignoramus gesture or utterance of the present, what I consider to be lame duck Prime Minister, that Chinese man, they call him Young. They call him Young. You see, he wants to get rid of the shouter in Shouter Baptist. And he doesn't understand. Best he go to the library and see, of course, the Dogma and the Rituals, two thick books that I assisted Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, one of the living founding fathers of the national holiday called Spiritual Shouter Baptist, and he would have gotten his answer and would not, of course, have been inquiring in such an ignorant way. Because I could also say, I don't like Chinese and the association with dragon. What stupidness is that? But no, I respect what they believe in, and therefore he must not question Shouter Baptist. But we will deal with that later. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Yes, good night to you. Let me just make sure and get you.
We track you down.
Yes.
Lennox, we get in real trouble tracking down this program tonight, as with every other night. But tonight, I don't know, every time we on Facebook, I try to connect, I'm picking up something else.
Wow.
I wonder if your program hack again.
Alfred John, right? Alfred John. Just log on to Alfred John and you should be on Facebook. On YouTube, same as the name of the program, The Corridor Transformation, and we should be there. I'm going to check it on my phone in a while after I speak with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, but Lennox, it's a good thing you date the program, eh? That is what helping us.
All right, good.
That is what helping us, because a lot of people calling me and telling me they can't get through, they're not getting through.
Yes, all
but
England, United States, so people are asking what is happening. But I think I had made an arrangement with Andy and the Ground Report, and I don't know if that has messed up the system that will be beaming from the offices here. So I'll have to check on that and see. I'll have to talk to the technical people.
Check and see. Because we get in a lot of trouble logging on to the program.
Okay.
But Lennox,
yes.
What it is, I tell you that when Stuart Young, I think I said it on the Ground Report because he didn't come on a couple of nights and whatever, right?
Yes.
Lennox, didn't I say that people are going to start taking credit for Kamla getting through with the international observers? Well, it started. They patting themselves on. They patting themselves on the back. It's cause of them. It's cause of them. They was pushing Kamala.
Give us some names, because I'm feeling forthright tonight. I'm feeling, of course, adventurous, but at the same time, we have to, of course, take no prisoners. So if you can give me some names, I will appreciate, or a name.
Oh God. You really want me to give you a name?
Yes. I want you to give my name, man. I will take full responsibility.
Arima cussed me out. Lennox, she cussed me out on heavy and them chat. You understand? She called me all kind of names and tell me, look at you, you was laughing at me. And it's because of me. It's because of me if I wasn't pushing them. But nobody was listening to her.
If it's that person, I understand why. So I will not be as what I consider to be not toxic, but excoriating as I would like to be. So is that right?
Because you know the individual.
Yes.
Very
passionate person. Very passionate, and heart in the right place. But sometimes it doesn't sync with, of course, what is required at the time. Let me put it nicely. All right.
But Lennox, that is totally fictitious. That is all she was doing was running her mouth up and down the chats and on Facebook. And so,
yes.
Which letter she wrote? She wrote any letter asking anything. You remember when you said,
yes.
as a leader of a party, that it is your right to write anybody and ask, and she was arguing with you about it.
Yes. I remember that very distinctly.
And look at now.
Yeah.
Beg pardon?
You're right, because I could take credit as well. I wrote as well. In fact, I have another letter to send to the Prime Minister right now. Yeah.
Yeah. The thousands of people that was pushing faith, you understand?
Yes.
And we finally get to.
You see what happened? What happened with Stuart Young? He must appear to be different. And while he may have been, he may be recalcitrant. He might want, of course, to take the position of Rowley. He realized that he doesn't have that luxury. He doesn't have that flexibility because he is desperate to look different. But he continues, of course, to put his foot in his mouth because, of course, that latest about questioning Shouter Baptist in the Shouter Baptist holiday. I think it was asinine. I think it was a level of ignorance that is unbecoming of a person that has found himself in the office of Prime Minister. He ought to know that basic. But go ahead.
Lennox, man. He trying hard to be like, well, he didn't try, He just like Rowley.
He tried not to be like Rowley.
They cut from the same coat.
Yeah. He tried not to be, but his nature. It reminds me of in fact, the prisoner who told me that one of the longtime gangsters. He said he gave me a anecdote some time ago. He said, listen, a frog. A scorpion asks a frog to cross him over a stream. Let's see, drunk, but of course, let me do it quickly. But of course, he said, well, why? For you to sting me? And he said, no, I have my children across there. Yeah, I have my children across there. I will never do that because it means, therefore, my life will be in danger as well, and my children will, of course, lose their mother. Well, of course, the frog said all right and took the chance, and Rice, of course, nearing the other side, he hears zook, zook. Well, of course, he got sting. And when the frog asked the scorpion, well, why did you do that? He said, well, that's my nature. So I suppose, it is in this Chinese man's nature to be obnoxious. Why is attempting to be something that he is not?
But Lennox, he went labre, right? After you promised the people a plywood factory, you promised them to plant his teak or cedar. He promised them to plant. Right? Cedar field and whatever. Now you got to promise them some state-of-the-art something that it has nowhere in the Caribbean.
A dry dock facility for ships coming from Panama. We discussed that already and demonstrated how foolish that is when they could go straight up to Jamaica instead. But go ahead.
Yeah, promising them again, time and time again, pie in the sky. Why all they lying to the people so? And the people are labor going to believe it. You didn't give us a plywood factory. You didn't even finish the fishing village or whatever it was properly. You come now to promise us something else. Promises. I wanted the people not realizing, right? This is not new wine. This is tainted wine that they put in an infected bottle, I should say.
Yes, right. Very
It
good.
is
Very good
not
analogy.
new.
Beautiful analogy.
Yes.
I will regurgitate that. It is worth regurgitating. Go ahead.
Yes, Lennox. And here the man, he going now to tell them that he implementing some new ministry, right? But today they shut him down. They've been shutting him down since he talked about it, because that was implemented under the Pandey administration with Lindsay Gillett, right? And it didn't work. You coming up, but what is worrying me about that ministry, and it will come out of the office of the Prime Minister, who is, he put it now, he's going to put Hines, Sleepy Tail Hines, in charge of that, because he is in the office of the Prime Minister. Now, Lennox, is it going to be like Udicott and he's going to control everything? Are they not now going to they're going to bypass the public procurement, like what they did with the Central Tenders Board? All these questions we have to ask, because we don't trust them. We don't trust them, Lennox.
Yeah, you're quite right, and it's always some half-baked duck. But of course, those are we've been there before. Those are elusive, illusionary, what I consider to be designed to hoodwink, to gaslight the population into, of course, voting for people who have demonstrated over and over. Not only are they scoundrels in their disposition and in their conduct and their attitude, but never deliver. And if they do, it's always some half-picked doctor, like, of course, Naquan, and, of course, Sandals, and a Highway to Nowhere, and all of that. So we know. And most recent, of course, what I consider to be a shell of a hospital and a shell of a airport terminal.
A terminal, an airport terminal.
Yeah, they have brought it to a new heights.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. I'm hearing you. Yes.
Lennox, I want to raise two serious matters now, right?
Go ahead, yes.
Did you get a chance today to read the article in the Express concerning a senior government minister?
Oh, yes, I was appalled. Taken aback, and
Lennox,
and extremely distraught.
Anna asking questions.
Yes.
And I sent you a lot of materials,
Okay, you sent it? I will take a look at it, because I really was consumed with, of course, preparing the office and getting our campaign off.
I know, I spoke to Anne-Marie this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, Lennox, I was shocked. And another thing that shocked me, although it did not shock me, right? Although I should not have been shocked.
Okay.
For the longest while, I have been in doubt about the workers' right platform, right in the back of the ground report, right?
All right.
When that Jefferson man was bad-talking Mrs. Pasabi Sessa concerning her writing Trump, right? I said that is not sitting right with me.
Right, okay.
Because if you are part of this thing, why are you bad-talking Kamala? Lo and behold now, right? We are seeing Friday, and I sent it for you.
Okay.
A video with Keisha Jackson, right? Cussing out Kamala because she got a text saying that Kamala invited her with the coalition and whatever. She don't want nothing to blah, 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 blah. You know, she was running him out, right? And who could be standing next to her, right? And the next gentleman, but Renaissance Jefferson, or whatever his name is, as the candidate for Labre under a Jackson ticket. So how can he be riding the back of the ground report as part of the ground report in with the UNC coalition, but his Kizell Jackson campaign candidate, for Labre?
Well, it's really silly season, and people are getting sillier and sillier by the day, because I mean, I have personally a very good relationship with the gentleman in question. I would have thought that it was so good that he may have asked me my own views, even though, of course, these are independent persons, just as Victor Roberts. But of course, people are motivated for different reasons, and they may divert. But of course, I would have only referenced the endorsement by the PSA as the greatest political, what I consider to be endorsement, or should I say, support for the UNC. It trumps anybody who's saying that they want to defect or they resign, whether it's 9, 12, or whatever of the 300,000 members that are supportive of the UNC. 9 or 12 of them, of course, I'm saying 12, but it's really 9. I'm being generous to those who would like it to be more. But nonetheless, the fact of the matter is that when you hear the PSA newly minted chairman or president says that the first order of the day is to address the question of getting rid of the PNM and therefore their boss, that speaks volumes. You're talking about over 60,000 members of the directly, indirectly of the public service. What more credentials do you want to understand that it is the UNC and the coalition of interests will of course be the one to of course not only take government but to carry Trinidad and Tobago to its natural evolution, having regard to the fact, in addition to the experience between 2010 and 2015. Anybody who doesn't see that, I'm sorry for them, but I cannot see them as intelligent, frankly.
Lennox, because today Wall Street asked him, how can you do that? What were you thinking? Because Kinsell Jackson is not going to get any votes. But the way she was getting on you, especially winning in David's name, right? She's going to sing this song like David.
I see her as an unstable person. Mentally, that is.
Yes.
I once or twice I come across her rants, and I dismiss it for that. I don't really have any kind of in-depth analysis of that, because it is so superficial and so superfluous and so irrelevant and otious that it makes no sense, of course, contributing or expending any time to listen to that, what I consider to be ramblings.
No, but Lennox, let me tell you something. When they want to come and back talk the UNC, of which we are all part of,
yes,
we have to spend some time to listen. We have to do it, right? And I am campaigning for the UNC and the partners in the accommodation. I am not campaigning for anybody who's not in the accommodation.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I want to qualify my position. I will not be paying much attention to that, but I expect that people like yourselves, who of course would devote time for the protection of the UNC coalition of interest, will certainly do so, and for that, of course, I have to commend you. But I personally don't have time for that, because I see it as
you don't have time,
of a person who may be on the verge of, if not insane.
Yeah, you don't have time. I know that.
Yes.
I know that.
So
and
I want to commend you for
Lennox,
that. So
right?
let me just qualify it in the way that they want a song as though
you're not taking an interest in it. No,
you need to know what your
understand.
enemies are thinking, and what kind of illusionary state of mind they may be in, to hope that they could overwhelm the UNC and of course the coalition of interests. Yes.
Because Lennox, in my opinion, I think he should remove himself from piggybacking on the ground report.
Well, we'll have to discuss that. We'll have to discuss that at the appropriate time. Now that it has come to my attention, because I have a very good relationship with him, so it may not be what we are seeing either. So I'm leaving my mind open. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, and he is telling Wall Street today that UNC is not going to win Labrador, but I want to tell him, neither are you. And if they continue the way that you are going, right? PNM, they make it. I am telling you, Lennox, that these people are trying very hard to cut track for PNM.
But yeah,
Look
but
at what PNM
I
did
in
to this
spite of all
country
of
for
that,
10 years.
in spite of all that, I still predicting 39 seats for the UNC coalition of interest. That is how confident I am, and how confident I am in my own campaigning strategy that will be unfolding in the next couple of days.
Yeah, but Lennox, let me give you a little word of advice.
Go ahead.
You know, it's a short campaigning season.
Yes, that's right.
Right? I don't want you to get burnt out. I want you to take care of yourself. The same thing I'm telling Andy and them, because they are helping candidates.
Yes.
And to everybody out there who are helping candidates.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Don't burn out all yourself, because we have a short period. And Lennox, as I was telling Anne-Marie today, if it is that you don't want to come on during the week, we will understand.
Yeah.
Because you can't campaign late, you can't carry on this program late and then get up early in the morning to help with the ground report and then go into campaign.
Yes.
So pick your poison. Pick your poison. If it's on a weekend you want to do it, where you don't have to get up early to go. But remember, at the end of the day, Lennox, I am here to support you, to support what you're doing.
Appreciate
and when
that.
everything is over, you will still have our support.
Yes.
So Lennox, take care of yourself.
Thank you very much.
Take care of yourself.
And in response to you, let me tell you that I've taken note, and so you notice that during the day I will be uploading a lot of short videos, etc. And that will compensate rather than having to spend 3 hours. Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
Yeah.
So before I leave, I just want to remind you, please take care of yourself.
Okay.
Because, you know, when you get burnt out, Lennox, after our victory, we need you.
That's right. That's right.
We need you.
Yeah. It makes no sense to
right?
you do like who was that? Moses, the great Moses, of course.
Yeah.
He directed to the promised land, but it was Joshua who took the people into it. All right, thank you very much for that advice.
You take care.
Yes,
all
will
right,
do.
Lennox,
Yeah, bye-bye.
later.
All right. Sorry about that caller. I know that but Miss Santa Cruz is a special one. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Lennox, good night.
Good night to you, my friend.
You know we have election here the same day.
Behind what?
We have election here in Canada the same day.
Oh, the same day. All right, that by serendipity, by chance. That's good. That's good. That's a good coincidence.
The former Prime Minister had dissolved Parliament and removed himself. So we got a new leader of the party.
Yes,
Liberal
of the party. Yes.
And he was sworn in as Prime Minister last week.
Okay.
So they gave him 14 days to call a snap election.
Right.
So this morning he went to the governor and they dissolved the parliament again, and they put the election in by 28th April.
Mm-hmm. Of course, our situation here is markedly different, not so? Because, of course, Rowley retained the position of a political leader and did not give the party an opportunity to select or to elect a leader. And that to me is anti-democratic, self-serving, and autocratic to the hilt.
Well, here was different, because when Justin Trudeau was asked by his party to step down, he did, and he gave up the leadership,
and allowed the party to produce its own leader.
Yeah, and he gave 6 weeks the final leader in 6 weeks.
Yes. I don't have the guy's name, but he seemed to be a pleasant fella responding to Trump. Yeah.
But in as much as they're swearing as the Prime Minister now.
Yes.
Because Justin Trudeau is no Prime Minister, no leader.
Right.
As much as they're swearing the other guy is the Prime Minister.
Yeah, Trudeau has returned to civil chores, civil as an ordinary civilian.
It was done the correct way, not like Trinidad.
Yeah.
It was done the correct way here. Because the Prime Minister gave up leadership first, final leader, and he gave up the Prime Ministership.
Yeah, of course. That is the way it ought to have been done. That's the way it should be done. Yeah.
Because in the democratic way, election was due here in September.
I see.
But much as he stepped down, somebody else coming as leader and Prime Minister,
and make the decision as to to call the
election.
election. Not like this. This, of course, selected leader who, of course, called an election just over 24 hours from being, of course, inaugurated as prime minister.
Tell you something. When the president, or where we are governor, when we are president, when the president is running PNM, she's going to do anything. Mm-hmm. Because she broke the rules, she broke the constitution, and a lot of these lawyers, like Larry Lala and all these guys, they are stooges.
Yeah, I think
Stuart Young.
History will not be kind to us, just as how it has not been kind to us when, of course, on specious or spurious spiritual and moral values, the incumbent was replaced in the 1818 scenario. And, of course, that has left a bad taste, of course, in many of us who are Democrats and who are just and fair-minded persons. And that would have been a stain on Robinson's tenure in public life to have made such a, what I consider to be a hostile decision. But go ahead.
Yeah, but you see, Rowley is playing a game. Now, he being leader of the party, he could call the shots. He still have authority.
Yeah, he has. That's the whole idea. That's why he remained there. Yeah.
You see, Stuart Young don't have no bloody hell power. And these guys should be ashamed of themselves.
Yes. All right, but we have a lot of people calling in now, and I've been off for a couple of days, so yeah.
Thank you. As I spoke to you today, next 2 weeks, sir.
Yes, I'll appreciate whatever help we can get, because we really need help now. It is crunch time.
By next week.
Right.
By next week, so.
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
no problem.
I'll talk to you.
Bye-bye, yes. Professor, good night. Welcome, caller.
Good night. The Professor Smithy.
Yes, man.
This is Digger Martin inside.
Yes, man.
A couple of issues.
Go ahead, my friend. But don't leave here, because I would like to hear your views on a matter that I would like to engage you with. But go ahead.
Okay, listen. You remember the SABGA 1997 report?
Yes, that was a dastard, damning report on, of course, pedophilism in Trinidad and Tobago.
Concomitant with that, we had the Judith Jones report, right?
Yes.
All of that suggested some sort of pedophile, for want of a better word,
a ring, organized gang.
Right.
Yes.
At the same time, I believe sometime in 1993, there was a little boy they call Akil Chambers, right?
Yes, man.
Up to this day,
horrific memory there.
That has not been closed.
Yeah.
So the family of Akil Chambers is still weary, waiting for disclosure.
Okay.
We have a Prime Minister from Lal Bihari Environment. And if people will, and I'm begging people to go back to the coroner inquest into Akil Chambers, and they will see one of the main witness is alleged to be related, a very, very close relative of the current Prime Minister.
Mm-hmm.
The Prime Minister has a responsibility and a duty to open back that cold case, get his cousin to disclose everything, because it appears, and some of the readings I've done, the evidence of that relative was not forthcoming.
I see.
And I don't want to use a term of lies. Mm-hmm. Because
I will be interested in that. So if you could send some kind of literature or information.
I have all the newspaper clipping from a fella by the name of a court reporter, Joseph.
Okay. I remember Joseph well.
Right. Lennox, I think
But
Lennox
if you can,
yes.
WhatsApp it to me or
Right.
get it to
I'll
me.
do that. I'll do that tonight early in the
Yes,
morning.
I'll appreciate that because
So,
we need to
first-
get to it. But you see, I'm saying so because the bully incident in school and the fact that the
You
victim,
want to put it under the carpet.
yeah, and the victim lost, of
Right.
course, a tremendous amount of opportunities, as
Yeah.
did, of course, the victim of Dr. Rowley's rape of Miss
Right,
Allen. Yes,
yeah,
she would have had to leave school early, and of course, whatever career that she would have pursued otherwise, if was not for the intervention in that dastard way of Rowley, she might have turned out to be a different person, contributing much more than what she's doing now. Yes.
That former prime minister ruined the lady's life. I don't know if he provided maintenance.
But we don't know because they operate clandestinely, because there were other things that have come to my attention where, of course, he's maintaining, including, of course, a twin. A twin
Right.
somewhere in the West. Yes.
Right down there.
Yes.
I hear the Bella overpass in Westmoreland for that.
Well, you see,
easy crossing of-
so I am not alone in terms of the information that is coming to us. But of course,
Right.
the PNM will be silent on that because, as
No,
we
well,
said,
well,
for
Philip-
other reasons, they are a
Philip-
criminal enterprise, and of course, when we look at the fragmented or at the components, you see that that is part and parcel of it, the exploitation of other human beings, sexually and otherwise.
I think Philip Alexander is basically going up in that area. And
Yes.
Philip Alexander was pushing, and he had a petition on the Ackle Tables issue.
Okay.
And
I will discuss
a lot
that
of-
with him as well, because we have to meet, I think, tomorrow. I did communicate with him, and he has taken a particular position on how we will move forward as part
Okay.
of as part of the coalition
You'll definitely
of interests. But go ahead.
Right. And the other issue is, and I'm seeing it, it is hot off the press on the news today.
Yes.
You remember there was a senior police officer from the PSB called Putaram Duki?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He has just filed a lawsuit against the AG and the Commissioner of Police with respect
All right.
to what they did to him. And in the article, he has identified investigation where he was at the forefront. Apparently, there was many investigation. For example, the Marlin investigation,
Mm-hmm.
he spearheaded it. And before he could have crossed all the dots, they move him aside, they give him a desk, they send him Komoto. But what he said in the article, he came, and they sent him on administrative leave. He
Okay.
came, because that was so close to closing out for charging.
Uh-huh.
He came out of his administrative leave, and he was still doing police work, and he was working with the DPP.
Mm-hmm.
And he closed out that arrest there. One of the things I'm hearing, it was never, that charge and arrest was never basically brought to the attention of the COP at that time.
Okay.
And COP at that time is now a political leader of a party.
All right.
So basically, for that to have gone ahead and arrested, he managed it under his arm. There's few people to know.
Okay.
He also said he was investigating a minister for money laundering and banking transaction. They took away the file from him, and the investigation dropped. He was also investigating several other senior government officials and senior police officers. I want to bring you back to during the time of Gigi. There was a deputy senior police officer that had to be investigated by people above that rank. So he had to be investigated by the COP and by the DCPs.
Okay.
Right? That person, investigation was taken away from him, and nothing has never happened. The COP ran for, the Commissioner of Police ran from it, put it down, all the information was there, nothing had further. So there's a lot of answers and questions has to be asked about a former COP who is now a leader of a political party.
Yeah. Of course, that could only direct direct one's mind to, of course, Gary Griffith. Thanks very much.
Right.
Yes,
you wanted to ask me a couple of things.
Yes. Just one thing. The sudden decision to call the elections, of course, the should I say lame duck prime minister, the Chinese man said that he wanted to get it out of the way. Do you see that as a rational reason for a sudden, of course, just as Rowley's sudden wish to depart? You have him suddenly, of course, not even a day self to, of course, feel out what the office is like, or give the others who he would have appointed that. And of course, our big men like in the society, such as the Chief Justice, attending that, and the President, and so on. And next thing, you make a mockery of them, if not, of course, the whole process. What is your view?
I have another thing to bring up. I believe KCR is running from something. Too much pinhole on the balloon, and they don't have enough people to put a plaster on it. Because if you understand KCR was the only person sending his message. None of the other ministers were involved with anything. And this is the same thing that the Minimi is doing. He addressing everybody, doing everything. So they cannot manage it. For example, this thing that Ms. Santa Cruz was telling you about, what is happening with one of the MPs who is now a minister, a minister of housing. I mean to say, they had to know that, according to Anil, and they give him a 10 days. Was that a quid pro quo?
Okay.
To keep it silent, give him a nice potential pension and a 1 month MP salary. Was that all in it? Because the man, apparently, from what I'm listening to Anil, he say he had some family business in London, and it's coincident. That is the time he went to remove his name from the shareholder.
From being a part owner or shareholder in the particular enterprise or the entity, the business entity. All right.
And for Anil to call name, that means there is evidence. Anil will make a mistake like that. The evidence
the evidence has to be very, very lucid and very conspicuous and very potent. Yes, for that.
All right.
Yeah.
And listen to this one now. Come Monday at 10 o'clock, Privy Council making a decision.
With respect
that
to the
decision
CJ,
tells us we need a new Chief Justice. Because if 3 of your Court of Appeal judges, 3 of your deputies say you do rubbish, you had a go. And previously 2 senior counsels in the Law Association, who was the president then, say he had questions to answer. No. Why has he been protected all this time? Just to manage election outcomes. So when it goes to our final Court of Appeal, our election petition matters, everything, the EBC was wrong, but the election...
Yeah, but the election was not tainted. And you have, of course, regurgitation, almost parroting that kind of what I consider asinine logic. That if you did something wrong, so the seed is poison, but the tree is bearing, of course, very poisonless fruits.
It's just like the email gate. You don't have an email, but the content
is a bunch of nincompoops we have pretending to be, of course, intellectuals and would have gone university. I don't know if they went, if their best subject was, of course, recess or something like that.
You understand? And then there is the other one.
They have no morals.
So there's another judgment to come down. It's supposed to come down since September, since the opening of the court, the court term.
Which one is that? Which is the other one?
The Brent Thomas issue.
Oh, Brent Thomas.
I
Okay.
and I.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Look at that. Thanks very much. Yes, yes, indeed. Thank you for your intervention as well. People, you will forgive me for, of course, being so expansive with that last caller, but he demonstrates a level of interest and a level of commitment that I think a program like this and a person like myself would want, of course, to capitalize upon so that you can get more information on matters that are affecting the country at this point in time. Let me just check to see. Yes, we are on Facebook. Let's go straight, of course. Let's go straight back to the lines. President, good night. Welcome. As I said, I just switched and I'm seeing us right now on Facebook. So we are on Facebook. Just, of course, log into Alfred John on Facebook. On YouTube, of course, you will normal corridor transformation. President, good night. Welcome. President, good night. I hear myself in the background, so you have to either move away or shut down something.
Good night, you hear me clear?
Yes, go ahead now, my friend.
I know where the interference coming from, but
yeah, I still hearing myself faintly in the background. All right, go ahead. Let's see how we can do it now.
All right, before
yes, much better. Yes.
Mr. Lakula girl came into the village. I like to tell you, she was good.
All right.
There's something I need to find out from you.
Go ahead.
Ms. Valsin. Is Ms. Valsin still with us?
All right. I have not had in recent times.
Lennox?
I have not been in recent time in contact with her. Are you hearing me? All right. Well, listen on your device.
Yeah.
I have not been in contact with her in recent times, so I don't know.
Lord. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, because
all right.
I don't know what's going on because I remember the last talk she done. I don't know.
Yeah. So I will find out now that you have inquired. I will find out. All right.
Yeah. Now we see Dum and them again at it. How they could be so illiterate? You put somebody in the attorney general office and they have no. Oh Lord, hey, what's that? Those people are really bad. How people
but these are not just comic, not just hilarious, not stupidese.
Oh gosh.
Not stupidese in joke, in jest, they are naturally dunderheaded. It is as though it is their DNA. And what the hell they're doing in office? You know what they're doing in office? Because they have been able to coalesce and to come together and conspire.
You see them three letters they use just now?
Yeah.
You see them three letters they use just now, DNA?
Yeah. To deceive the people. That is what
month.
they are on. That's what they have been able to be successful in.
I have something to give you on that.
All right.
Right? I have something to give you on that. Right? Because you have a lot of things. Even with that accusation thing that not includes yet.
Yes.
It have plenty of people things to come out the woodworking with the woodwork for that.
All right. Looking forward to it.
The part owner of that house died last month.
Okay.
Because, right? I will give you all the information when they come down.
Yeah, no problem.
I will talk to you on such that. But
yeah. Okay then.
Real pressure to come on tonight.
All right, no problem. Take your time. All right, bye-bye. Yes, indeed. Let me check people, of course. So it's on my phone, yes, so we on. Let me see. So we're getting the beginning of it. Let me see. Oh, this is something else. Something else. Let me see. So Facebook, all right. And this is not live. This is something that I uploaded earlier. Let me see if we are seeing. Let me see if I'm getting the. Right, I have to key into. I'm going on Facebook and I'm keying into Alfred John, right? Live. I've seen it here, live. Alfred John. And you hear? So I'm here. This is something that I uploaded earlier. So I just said that, and look at it's now, of course, being regurgitated on the live itself right now. So you hear me saying what I just said on the system. Alfred John, right? Live. I've seen it here, live. Alfred John. And you hear? Once, of course, I am. So I'm here. This is something that I uploaded. Right. So we are on Facebook, but you have to log into Alfred John, ALFRED JOHN, and of course you will see the live in red, and that's how you know that you are contemporary. We are simultaneously responding or recording. It's just that we may have a slight delay, but it is existential. It is today. It is now. All right? Let me go to, of course, all right, let's take this call before we go to YouTube now to find out whether or not we are on, because I want to help people get on. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Because remember, we are looking for 40,000 a night. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Mr. Lennox. Good night, everybody who's on the line.
Yes.
Good night, Trinidad and Tobago. Hey, Mr. Lennox, listen now. This woman called Kizel, I happened to saw her today on a video.
Yeah.
And I think this fellow, we name is gosh, from Tobago, we name is again Duke.
Uh-huh.
But he was using some interesting language, talking about he don't want her genitals and things like that, you know.
Well, what do you expect? The woman is a bacchanalist. She is a husband. I mean, she has no class, frankly. And as I told Miss Santa Cruz, I personally will not pay any attention. Of course, the people like you will have to pay attention, because you have to bring me anything that may be significant. And probably the least of them is how people responding to that, what I consider to be monolithic hogwash that is being spewed on a daily basis by these people, hoping somehow for people to consider them electorally. Well, we don't have time for that. But go ahead,
listen, Mr. Lennox. You know, I really saw for the first time. I mean, saw for the first time. I always saying she name, but today is the first time I really had a look at the lady. And for a moment while she's speaking, I thought this woman was kind of mentally deranged, you know.
I'm telling you, but first time I heard, and I didn't see her per se. I just was strolling.
Yeah, I didn't know the woman first time I
came
seen
across,
the woman.
and then I just said, well, this is madness.
No, here the next thing. Quickly, this fella Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, today I managed to look at Professor, what the fella name is? Wall Street.
Yeah,
Wall Street. That the fella name is Wall Street.
I understand that he has aligned himself with that individual. I don't know. I know him to be a fairly intelligent guy. In my encounter, so I don't want to draw any conclusion unjustifiably, because there may be some other reason why some you see, I've learned a very long time ago from a very, what I consider to be eruditic professor. He said that in human circumstance, what appears to be is not always is. You know what I say?
Correct.
Yes. So I don't want to prejudge.
But I'll tell you something, Mr. Lennox. My perception of him, I think about 2 months ago, I was telling somebody, because I saw him, because I know he's affiliated to the Gong Report and morning and things like that.
Right.
And when I listen to this guy, I was talking about 2 months ago, when I telling somebody, I say, hey, something about that fella, to me, as a person, in feeling right about that fella, I just feel that fella is a staunch PNM. You understand?
Okay.
And if he say he making this change, right? Okay, all fair, well and good. But when I heard he was talking to the professor today, I said, well, wait now, but this thing songing like this fella, like he looking to like switch allegiance to whoever you want to switch allegiance to. I said, okay. I said, wait, because boy, people is something else. I don't know why people can't.
But my thing is, my friend, there are some things that are so conspicuous. There are some things that you do not have to say because it exists. Whether you call it a maxim or you call it axiomatic. But the fact of the matter is that you must, as a ordinary person, far less for a seasoned politician or a half-pick duck politician or a neophyte. When you hear the PSA leader talk against their boss, you don't want no other indication as to where your association must be. You don't,
correct,
right? And that has been my point. Now notice, I identify Roger. Notice I identify that. Notice I identify the other former or current trade union leaders that would be associated with the coalition of interests with the UNC. But certainly the PSA statement is so profound that there's some people like that just jump over the head. I mean, how could you miss that?
Boy.
How could anyone miss that, people? Tell me. That tells me that the die has been cast and the prediction is inevitable. But of course, the proof of the pudding is on the day itself, the 28th, where all of us must get out there and do what we have to do. Forget the rest.
Amen to that.
They could make no impact. They have no impact to make. So let us not waste time. It is about getting rid of the PNM. We know that they are the bane and the disaster that is a Trinidad and Tobago today and into the future if we only take God out of our minds and continue with this nonsense.
One more thing. I heard a young fella today, right, and social media, and he's a follower of Philip.
Okay.
Yeah, man, that fella really make me, he make me really feel good, because he said that he started following Philip because Philip is a man with solutions.
Right.
And when I heard him say that, I said, yes, I said, fella speaking truth. And then the fella said, listen, when Philip said that he was going with Kamala, he said he started questioning Philip, but then he realized, nah, boy, Philip making sense. You understand? And that fella said, listen, I gonna get real people, all people in them who just follow him, to come across and follow, and everybody going with anti-camps. You understand?
That's right.
Because anti-camps is the way to go. I say, hey, well, making as a young fella, he could be no more than about 28, 29 years old.
You see, let's be real, because we have to be real and not kid ourselves. When Philip Alexander was not of his position, of the position that he has taken now, you notice a person like me would be saying, well, what is this? How could you be saying these things about the only vehicle that can take the PNM to shreds and, of course, manage the affairs of the country, having regard to the track record between 2010 and 2015. So you and I, I'm sure, at one time would have said, but does he feel he could really do that? All the solution or orientation that he may have or espouse. You see, and that is where the coalition of interests becomes very, very, very powerful and potent, because whilst, of course, a fellow like Philip Alexander may have, of course, wonderful, beautiful ideas of a solution-oriented nature And ideas without, of course, power is nothing. So you must have the power to implement. However, I'm making the point that a fellow like Lennox Smith has already implemented, and for Laverton and these places where I have made my presence felt by implementation in spite of the antagonism and or the recalcitrance of the PNM. When we start to roll out, you will see now that we are talking about building on the foundation that is already. So we have people who have ideas that have not yet been tested, and we have people who have ideas that have been tested, and what you want, of course, is the superstructure to move forward. So I think the combination is wonderful.
Boy, that was a wonderful thing I saw today, and I say yes. I said that youth man make real sense. Anyway, let me get somebody else a chance.
Yes, man. Yes, indeed. So I was making a point about, of course, the combination of the team, and I think it will do everybody well to focus and to find out and to inquire and interrogate, because it's a wonderful. Roger has his own strength, of course, as well, and the other members of the team have their own strengths. You see, but what is required, because if I would have implemented, of course, let's say, designed the program for BTM Phase 4 and their interphase program, and then, of course, get them to visit and get a challenge trophy for their community-based activities from Manning at the time. Never attended any one of their prize-giving functions because I didn't want to taint it. You see, because I understand how petty in these places the people are and how sensitive they are to, of course, what I consider to be at times unmeritorious leadership. I say unmeritorious leadership from the point of view that if I would have put in a presence there and Stephen and them who I wrote the document for, said, look, Mr. Smith, help me with this. I could imagine how ugly as he already is, how more ugly Heinz's face would have been, because he would have been in the presence of these fellas, and maybe the Prime Minister might have been there. So I said no, because the important thing is to get the information, not the information, but the project to them, and let them execute it in spite of the challenges and in spite of the myopia of course, those who cannot vision and implement. So what has happened is that I am faced now in 2025 with a plethora, a cadre of projects that would have already been started, as opposed to, of course, people like Philip who would like something to be started. But I have already started sustainable development initiative, whether it's crime, whether it's economy, whether, of course, it is training, whether it is vocational skills, whether it's education, whether, of course, is interacting as far as the borderline issues are concerned and as far as gang warfare are concerned, and of course recognizing that every single one of the residents in these communities require, of course, assistance, even though you may be classified as a gangster, but they have to eat, they have to live somewhere, have to eat, they have to live somewhere, and they have to wear clothes, and they have to be entertained. So who is better positioned than somebody who has been in the community, and in spite of the challenges and the recalcitrance and the myopia and the victimization and the exploitation by the PNM, who has been dominating politically these communities for the longest? Who is better placed? to treat with those gangsters. And therefore, the objective in that regard is, of course, to reduce considerably to the point where Trinidad and Tobago is no longer seen as the sixth place not to go, or put another way, the sixth most violent country in the world. And more than that, we have a duty and responsibility for letting the international community, particularly those in the metropolitan countries and rich countries, where, of course, investment are expected or would prefer to come from, in order to expand our economy and generate more employment opportunities. And with all of that, it means that the young man from East Port of Spain, from Beetham, from Sealats, from, of course, Mova, from Malik, from Chumakak, etc., the likelihood with the influx of job opportunities that they will get a job. So no longer can they say that they don't have work that is propelling them to a life of crime. That is where we are going. That is what is being presented to you. And you're going to see it unfolding, of course, under the various anecdotal projections that we will be, of course, delivering to you from time to time. Thank God that there is social media, and I could come on anytime. Of course, as some persons say, I ain't here to turn stone, and even, of course, a vehicle just break down. So who is a human being? So from that perspective, I have to, of course, be very careful about health issues. But that being as it may, commitment, dedication, perseverance, and the ability to convince others that what appeared to be impossible is possible. When we begin, of course, our rolling out of the campaign ideas, initiatives that will find its way in policies and programs, ultimately beyond, of course, the usual a document that will be produced called a manifesto. Beyond that, we are talking about implementation, physical, materials, and financial. All right? So we're going to look at that. Let me just take a look again at the YouTube and see whether or not we are on, and let me prove that to you. And as I said, you go on YouTube, normal corridor transformation, and the first thing I see is myself. Look at here. First thing I'm seeing is myself there. Hope the camera could pick me up. And let me just get the voice going so you will know that this is no. Just get the voice going so you will know that this is no. I just said that, and what I just said will again be said. I just said that, and what I just said will again be said. I just said that, and what I just said will again be said. I just said that, and what I just said will again be said. I'm getting a static, however. I'm getting a static in the background. Oh, it could be, I understand why. No, I think you know, you have this reverberation when you are close to the mic and you are sort of recording yourself, then there is this static that takes place. It's a phenomenon in this business. I learned it some years ago when, of course, that's why we just tell people to move away from the microphone or move away from something that may be in the room in order for you not to get the static. So that static you were hearing there is a result of that scenario. So there we have it. But let me get on to, of course, my concern tonight with respect to the religious ignorance of the Prime Minister, lame duck as he is, the Chinese man called Stuart Young. I'll try to put up on the screen for you something, because I thought it was disingenuous. I thought it was short-sighted. I thought it was dunderheaded. I thought it was inane. I thought it was a person who clearly out of his depth and therefore is unsuited to be prime minister, making such a statement that were addressed many moons ago. Many moons ago by none other than Her Grace Archbishop Episcopus Barbara Gray Burke. And it was documented and put into the various major sources of information, while of course social media, and that might have been a short-sightedness on my part, a fault on my part. I should have done it already, but based on what he has said, he Stuart Young, that the shouter should come out of Shouter Baptist, then it needs to be, of course, put in the public domain. And I will have discussions tonight and tomorrow with Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke. She may wish to make a statement on the matter. I will not preempt her because, of course, I'm a member of her flock, so to speak. But the fact of the matter is that several years ago, maybe over a decade ago, we recognized that when we spoke to Patrick Manning, for example, his level of limited awareness or knowledge of the Shouter Baptists was such that we had to document in what is called the Dogma of the Shouter Baptists. Of course, under the auspices of the Council of Elders, Spiritual Shouter Baptists of Trinidad and Tobago, which of course is one of the major entities relating to Baptists. So whilst of course you have Fundamental Baptists, you have Hockett Baptists, and you have other versions of Baptists, including of course the Christian Baptists, and there is one that is called Shouter Baptists, and they were the ones that were banned. All the talk, they're talking about Christian Baptists and Hockett Baptists and Fundamental, it was the Shouter Baptists with their rituals and the way that they worshipped with what is called dumption. Hook. And it's coming from, of course, the viscera or the belly, and of course making the sound that you hear when of course they are in a particular, what I consider to be spiritual bliss. Yes, spiritual bliss. And they begin of course to shout, and therefore to suggest and to be an uninformed revisionist. Yes, you young. It's nonsense you're talking about taking out the shouter from Shouter Baptist because it is some kind of colonial relic. You may be a relic even though your name is Young, because you don't know. And therefore I can speak with authority because I'm sure that of course I'll be backed up and endorsed by Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, and you can't want it better than that because she is the moving and living encyclopedia of the Shouter Baptist movement and the rationale and basis for, of course, asking, advancing, and indeed advocating for a Shouter Baptist holiday that will be celebrated at the end of this month. I'm talking about on the 30th of this month at the Empowerment Hall at Maloney on the Churchill Roosevelt Highway. Let's not waste time. If it wasn't for the religious significance of this period, I tell you what I would normally tell a person like that at Spargos, on a Friday, yes. But that being as it may, the fact is that the Shouter Baptist is a significant, has significant meaning to the Shouter Baptist community. And you cannot talk about taking out Shouter Baptist. I have, of course, a copy of the Dogma on the screen, I'm trying to get it as we engage, but I'm not seeing it coming up on the line. Let me just try something again and see, because it's important that we get it organized. Yeah, okay, I think I might be able to get it. Yes, Shouter Baptist, right, good. Yes. Let's go there. So let me just put it in visual context. Right, let me just bring down this a little bit. So you'll have an appreciation, because we prove what we say and we say what we can prove on this program, because ignorance is bliss. For some, they relish that. But we cannot, because education, as Kamala Prasad Bisesa says, open up all kinds of new but practical, not just ventures, not just adventures, not just opportunities, but it is about advancing the human cause, the human spirit, the human being, to dream about putting a colony, for example, on Mars and making it happen, as we have seen pronounced by Donald Trump. So, but of course, we can get back to earth and say that when Christopher Columbus had his dream, and people were saying that the earth was flat, and he was saying, no, it is wrong. You can leave at one point and travel in a particular direction and still come back to, of course, the point that you would have started from, because you have circumnavigated or traveled in a circumference, if you want to call it that. But the point I am making is that what you see behind me is a document called, of course, the Council of Elders Spiritual Shouter Baptist Faith of Trinidad and Tobago, Principle, Rituals, and Dogma of the Spiritual Shouter Baptist Faith. I wonder if this lame duck Prime Minister, this Chinese man, took time to read that. Because you see, a copy of that is in the National Library. A copy of that is at UE. We made it our duty to make certain that all and sundry, and for posterity and for all times in the future, that the documents are there for those who have to follow, not only in the footsteps of Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, but of course who would want to keep the spirit of the Shouter Baptist alive in Trinidad and Tobago, having regard to the historical antecedent of being banned and legislated against in order to stymie and to prevent, of course, the practice of their religion. But let me go to the contents. I want to go to the contents now. And the contents speaks, of course, to what we are looking at here. The table of contents, yes, and it says, fundamental differences which mark the distinct operation of the Spiritual Shouter Baptists from all other denominations using the Baptist motive. Let me repeat that. In the dogma that was written by, of course, Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, I assisted, of course, in the editing, etc., but it is hers because I am not an expert there. She is the expert. She is the one still alive. She is the one, of course, that advocated for the holiday, which, of course, is significant. You cannot underestimate that, or you cannot underestimate a contribution like hers, or indeed you cannot question her authority. And I'm saying to you that the Council of Elders Spiritual Shouter Baptist Faith of Trinidad and Tobago, this document is titled The Principle, Rituals, and Dogma of the Spiritual Shouter Baptist Faith. And then, of course, in the table of contents, the first thing, and why that was so, because I was there with, of course, people like the deceased Bishop Randu. When we were talking to Manning, and Manning was totally ignorant because talking about, of course, having a cathedral for all Baptists. And we were telling him, no, it cannot be because all Baptists are not the same. You have fundamental, you have, of course, you have spiritual, you have Hockett, etc. And that they worship differently. So you cannot have, of course, today a spiritual Baptist sitting in a building, and then, of course, why is it the spiritual shouter Baptists deal with flags, etc., but they don't, they deal with probably bell and maybe a cross, and you want, of course, to re-sanctify that place for worshiping purposes. It is impossible. So the hogwash about a cathedral still resonates, of course, with this government. And, of course, Rowley had to be a total backside to, of course, accept that without, of course, consulting Archbishop Barbara Grayburg as to why the others are talking about being Christian Baptists, as opposed to, of course, the insistence that Shouter Baptists be remained or retained in the naming or the appellation of course, the Shouter Baptist community. They do not know. They do not know. And so the Baptist motive, but it's all of them may be Baptists. Not all of them are Shouter Baptists. As indeed, not all of them are fundamental Baptists, nor Hockett Baptists or Christian Baptists. And the group that, of course, Rowley and they have, of course, associated themselves with, or put another way, that the group that associated with the PNM are, of course, Christian Baptists. But they try, of course, to capitalize on the work that the Shouter Baptists did, or put another way, on behalf of the Shouter Baptists, and try to, of course, commandeer the holiday, and they give themselves, of course, arrogate unto themselves some authority, when in fact, of course, it was because the Shouter Baptist was banned. The Shouter Baptist was banned. No one else. People. So, as I said, fundamental differences which mark the distinct operation of the spiritual Shouter Baptists from all other denominations using the Baptist motive. Understand that. I cannot overemphasize. And then, of course, the second item on the contents, the table of contents, Council of Elders, Spiritual Shouter Baptist Faith of Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, a history of it will obviously be there. And then Old Testament support for a belief in 70 leaders. That is why you have so many, of course, archbishops, etc., because there is, of course, biblical reference for 17 leaders. And then you have, of course, New Testament support for belief in 70 leaders as well. And then, of course, we have the church body of Christ. And then, of course, we have the doctrine of spiritual Shouter Baptists. And why we are talking about the doctrine of spiritual Shouter Baptists is simply because there is, of course, a combination between what, of course, we would have, of course, acquired during the colonial times, and what was originally brought from Africa, where, of course, the navel string of our ancestors were derived from. Understand that. So let me just read a part of first part of the table of contents that speaks about the fundamental difference. Very important. And this chapter says fundamental differences which mark the distinct operation of the spiritual Shouter Baptists from all other denominations using the Baptist motive. The Baptist motive merely means, of course, the term Baptist in the designation or the description of their religion. And it says, the Council of Elders, Shouter Baptist Faith of Trinidad and Tobago is an independent denominational spiritual entity founded in 1996. by registration with the Registrar General as a religious organization operating in Trinidad and Tobago, authorized on the 22nd of March 1996 with registration number T1850C. And it continues, the Council of Elders Spiritual Shelter Baptists of Trinidad and Tobago has gained its existence through a consultative process with 8 dioceses who share and subscribe to the religious doctrines, dogma, and rituals handed down by African descent. Understand? African descendants or ancestors, and of course modified over the last 300 years to adapt to the changing spiritual needs of followers of the faith. Obviously, take into consideration the what? The European and or the colonial influence that had fashioned a new religion and not pure at all out of Africa, because we were made to abandon our religious beliefs, etc., as most of you would know, coming from Africa and into the New World as slaves. And so it continues, the spiritual Shouter Baptist faith is unique and distinct from all other denominational entities which carries Baptist as part of their appellation. These differences are unequivocally demarcated and exemplified in administrative structure, the doctrinal, theological underpinnings of the faith, and practice rituals, which of course combined to prepare worshippers for the coming and the day of judgment by God the Father, as prescribed in the King James Version of the Holy Scriptures. So you see the marrying of the African tradition and what our ancestors came from Africa with, of course, with the New World or the Western world faith. The Council of Elders Spiritual Shouter Baptist faith, for a better understanding of the faith, it is of course important to prefer scriptural texts as to the derivation of terms council, elders, and the Shouter Baptist council. This term is referred to in the scriptures according to Matthew chapter 26 verse 59, which says, "Now the chief priest and elders and the council," etc. Mark 13 verse 9. "But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to the councils." Luke 22 verse 66. "And as soon as it was day, the elders of the people and the chief priests and the scribes came together and led him into their council assembly, appointed body." Leviticus chapter 23 verse 36 says, 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly. So council. So the point I am making here, people, is that there are biblical references as well as traditional and cultural issues that would have been handed down by, of course, our ancestors coming from Africa. And one of the hand-downs would have been what is called the dumption, that kind of worshipping and the colonial masters didn't understand, and therefore they banned that. They banned that. The Christian Baptists hardly, if at all, practice that. Or put another way, the Shouter Baptists practice that more, or in everything they do, than that of the Christian. Because the Christians, I'm sure that they would say that they do the gumption, and that's a special song that they give in praise to the Almighty. So I thought it was important, of course, to share this with you, so that is what we will be writing. I'm sure when I speak with Archbishop Burke tonight, would want me to, of course, pen a letter, and she would do the honors in terms of indicating to this lame duck Prime Minister. And incidentally, I hear they talk about $10 million for a cathedral. Notice I've just made the argument for the non-existence and the impossibility of a cathedral for all the Baptists. That's one. But more significantly, as she told me, I think yesterday, she did not apply for any damn money from this government. She's waiting for the next government, who recognize and who gave the holiday, but they want to make adjustments and making demands so that all Baptists should come under one cathedral. They're so damn ignorant, stupid. It will never happen. And that there is precedent in the world to, of course, emphasize that. There is precedent in the world to emphasize that. The Muslims, in of all places in the Middle East, Sunni Muslims, as opposed to the other Muslim that, of course, is practice. Their practice is well established in Iran. Why the Saudi Arabians have the Sunni type practice, and you can't bring them together? You can't have one mosque for them because there are fundamental differences in their practice and their belief. The Sunni Muslim, for example, believe that the Prophet Muhammad and anybody recognize coming out from, of course, that line can be a leader. Anybody who is anointed by maybe the council, whatever it is, can be a leader, and therefore representing, of course, the Prophet Muhammad. In the case, of course, of the Muslims that practice in Iran, they believe that person could only come directly from the Prophet Muhammad. Yeah, and that is the big difference from my observation and research. But you also have it in other. The Catholic, for example, you are the Roman Catholic, but of course, when the British realized that for whatever convenience, the monarch and so on, they split, and of course they have now the English Catholic and the Roman Catholic. The 7 days, they also have similar, of course, differentiations. Even the Hindu religion, you have different sect or partitions, if you want to call it that, and slight nuance of worship. So the Baptist community is no different, and it will be a fundamental and a total disrespect for any government to believe that somehow they could build one building and say that cathedral for all Baptists. And then, of course, they have the audacity to say that the Baptist community not together. It cannot be. We told Manning that. I was there. It cannot be, people. We worship differently. And the Council of Elders, for example, they believe in women leaders. The other major group that Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke assisted in also getting 5 acres of land up at the Maloney facility there. They don't believe in women ascending to the highest level of leadership in the church. Understand that. And therefore, these fundamental differences or dichotomies means that it is impossible. It's like water and oil. They can't mix. And we told Manning that, and we thought that that matter was settled. I shocked to see this bald-headed, stupid, and of course would be fooled by those elements. And they try to get Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke involved in that, you know. But she was sagacious enough. She would either ask me to go or someone else, but she would not attend those meetings at all to suggest that somehow she is in agreement that, of course, all Baptist community can get one cathedral, one building, call a cathedral, and worship in it. You had to be ignorant, and you have to be, of course, what I consider to be ecclesiastically backward, dunce, unaware, and ignorant. Because comparative religion will let you know that. Theology will let you know that if you are a basic student. So I think I would have made it very clear that it's impossible for what Rowley and they are asking, and that is why we have not, of course, asked for any money. We'd wait until Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the UNC, get into office. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hello, good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you, my friend. Somebody asked about you. I'm glad. I know my prayer would have worked. Go ahead.
I also have a problem. I listen to you all the time, morning and at night.
Okay.
And I was having a great problem in getting you on YouTube. I am not one of those fanatics with Facebook and things. I am only on YouTube.
Okay.
And what I started doing is putting in Lennox Smith corridor transformation.
No, don't put in Lennox Smith. Just put corridor transformation.
That's the only way I am picking you up. That's the only way I am picking you up.
All right, okay.
That's
but are you on with this program tonight?
Yes.
Right, good.
But
Okay,
so
you solve your problem. Okay.
Yeah, the only way I got to do is with your name first, corridor transformation.
All right.
I did not pick it up on YouTube, corridor transformation.
All
so
right. Okay, well then I will invite. I will in my statement directing people where to get me. I think I will put in Lennox Smith corridor transformation on YouTube. Yes.
Yes. And I also want you to know that I met you donkey years ago when you were with Mr. Pandey at the Savannah in Orang West.
All right, okay.
I was
so
a teenager
that's
then.
That's sometime.
So
well,
I have been following you since, and I think you are one of the greatest speakers I have ever listened to. You and Mr. Smith, you and Mr. Mikey Key.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that comment from you. I think I can't go wrong.
I listen to you all very attentively, very, very attentively. I don't make too much comments, but I listen.
Okay.
And you always give such great advice. And as a woman, single parent, you are an inspiration to me.
Thank you very much.
So keep up the good work, and I know lots of people may not hear you, but I have been fiddling and I found a way to find you, and that is what I do.
Okay.
I type your name and then corridor transmission.
Great. I'll certainly convey that to them, because it might be because what I normally would do here when I'm starting the program is put in my name first, and then so maybe the system is taking it up, is identifying with that. So I better give them the total information now. Thanks very much for that piece of information, because I wasn't aware. I thought you were going to just say corridor and that's it. But it's more than that. All right.
But I want you to know you are my cup of tea before I go to bed.
All right. Okay then. Well, then we go to bed just now because it's already 3 minutes past 10.
Yeah. But I make sure I look for you every night.
All right.
I
Thanks.
love my kitty.
Yes. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for that endorsement.
You are the most handsome creature I look at.
All right. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye. Yes, indeed. Well, of course, we have fans. Sometimes they come in packages that you may not be familiar with or you didn't expect. So here it is. We have this caller, of course, giving what is called, I think in law they call it confession, or in church they call it confession in the Catholic practice, but in other places they may call it, they may give it a different name. One is confession, the other one may be testimony. Yes, testimony as to their commitment, dedication, and of course the association, historic and otherwise, with the particular issue that they would be pronouncing upon. But that being as it may, let us, of course, so I think I have made a case. So there is no need for me to go further to demonstrate that Stuart Young is out of his depth once again, and maybe it should take us back to where we started, and that is, it is said that luck is when opportunity meets preparation. Opportunity meets preparation. Well, it's clear that Stuart Young is not a lucky fella, because while he got an opportunity, he was totally unprepared. So he's halfway there, and of course cannot be considered one that could make use of the opportunity simply because of the ephemeral or short-lived nature of it. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the UNC, of course, and the coalition of interests far outstrip, outweigh, out-intelligence. Yes, I can say that too, out-intelligence. In other words, more intelligent than them. Nobody knew Stuart Young before he came in and Rowley pulled him in and attached his wagon to the PNM. But people would have known Lennox Smith since 1984. Developing programs and initiatives to train young people, haven't recognized the problem. But the very same PNM, whilst of course over 6,000 persons would have graduated from not just one program, but 6,000 of them between 1984 to about 2000 in earnest. All over the place, in the police service, the army. And I want to tell you, fellas and women who have graduated, you have a duty, of course, to come forward, and give your testimony as well. Give your testimony. Don't let anyone, of course, make you believe that now that you may be an inspector of police or you are high rank, that you must not, you feel that you are too high or too big to, of course, make a call on the corridor transformation and give some motivation, because I am still here and I know what we had to go through to get you to settle down and to become what you are today. Whether you are a businessman, or whether you are a police officer, or whether you are an army officer, or whether you are a fireman, or whether you are on the port, or whether, of course, you set up your own mechanic shop or your own vocational skills training. I saw one up in Santa Cruz 2 days ago. He got, of course, I would say deformed because he get fat. But he was still wearing the glasses, but not the same glasses that I knew him with. And then he heard me speaking to the person who, incidentally, I went to get the jerseys printed, like, this one doesn't have the print on it, sorry about that. But the print like that of that you're seeing on the screen, the rocket with the love on the side. Yes, the sky is the limit. And when I came back outside to talk to the mechanic that was attending to his car, he said, "But Mr. Smith," so when I looked, he said, "MLIO." And then, of course, I faintly remembered his face. I wouldn't know his name, but his face. And then he said, "Those were days." And then I turned to him and said, "I am extremely proud when I see you fellas. Because here it is, you have your car, you bring it to fix, etc. I'm sure that you have your little, of course, business or employment, place of employment, etc. Because obviously he's doing well. He has been deformed. He's looking fat and plump. But of course we had to make a little joke and so on. And then of course he took me down memory lane as to what transpired in MLIO. And then of course he admitted, he said that if it wasn't for that program and the intervention that you people worked hard to make, things might have been, but I want to say, would have been different. Negativity. And then I told him, I said it was the PNM that closed it down. The PNM short-sightedness that closed it down. And then he had to conclude that look how bad things are today. When we started off, we said that the MLIO program was designed, of course, to capture those young people who are either engaged or have the potential to engage in crime and criminality. That is a massive undertaking, people. Imagine the criteria you have established for a fellow to join your training program, vocational and otherwise, is that they must either be engaged or have the potential to engage in crime and criminality. How would I know that? A fellow will walk off the street and tell me that? No, we were able, of course, to set up a network of course, leaders within the community and, of course, institutions such as the village councils, such as the sporting groups, etc., in order, of course, to let us know that this fella or woman or girl is, of course, going off track, and they therefore needed to get back on track, and so they qualified to become, of course, students at our program. And why we make the distinction? Because we know that, of course, those who are well behaved and those who are much more amenable could find themselves in serve all. Let them go serve all. But those who will never stand a ghost of a chance to get in serve all, they have a place to go, which is, of course, MLIO. But they must, of course, be able, as a criteria, to engage in crime or have the potential to engage in crime, and the community will tell us. And so every term we'll have about 300 of them, a school in its own right as far as the numbers are concerned, right there in Fernandez compound. Understand that. So as I said last time, and the first thing for a whole 2 months, they have to be grilled and drilled with, of course, the motto, we can make it if we try. That's one. And of course, we back it up with Stalin's, we can make it if we try tune. So we play that on a regular basis. But then we also have, of course, our own, what I consider to be principles. And that is, of course, we pledge this day before God and man to observe the ideals of the Mobile Lavatil Improvement Organization for service to our community, etc., etc. And I'm sure many of them would have left there reciting that principle, and they would have taken it with them wherever they end up, whether abroad or locally or regionally. We can do it again because we did it. But only under a Kamla Prasad Bisesa UNC administration with the coalition of interest, simply because we have the capacity, the know-how, and put more poignantly is that the PNM has failed with their own program of attempting, of course, to settle and to generate the peace and security and economic advancement, and of course becoming, of course, first-class citizens, as of course our quality of life and standard of living would demand, and we graduate to or expect and prefer. Let's not waste time. Let us not waste time. We have wasted 10 years in the doldrums and the quagmire that, of course, Rowley and they has plunged the country into. And you have a nincompoop who doesn't even understand the Shouter Baptist community and talking a bunch of hogwash in all places, of course, in the cabinet. And, of course, to somebody who we say is some Baptists are talking about, of course, Foster Cummins. He don't know if he going or he coming, but he could give advice to the cabinet, and this dunderhead taking advice from he on Shouter Baptist matters. Call Archbishop Barbara Grayburg. That's all you have to do. There's something I want to tell all you later down the road. You will understand. You will understand the level of opportunism and chronic criminals, whether Rowley at the head or this Chinaman at the head. He has inherited, of course, a criminal enterprise called the PNM. And Laventille, you had to be in a state of what I consider to be manic depressive psychosis. You know what I say? I say you had to be in a state of manic depressive psychosis, losing all sight of reality, to go and vote for any candidate at all. It has nothing to do with no sympathy. It has to do with your survival. It has to do with your advancement. It has to do with those who can deliver to you, because the only singular purpose for acquiring power is to deliver to you. And these people, they want power, but they do not deliver. In fact, they deliver to their own selves and friends and family and finances, and not you. And don't tell me you don't understand that, because your circumstance will let you know present. And people, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. It was wonderful doing it with you. And of course, as usual, we try to put a religious tone to the proceedings on a Sunday. And therefore, tonight is no exception. Let me just, of course, get the video so that, of course, we can conclude what we know is right to do as we celebrate, of course, the commencement of the new week, but work week. But more importantly, that we have an election to make history, and Laventille must be part. 39 seats in Trinidad for the UNC and the coalition of interest. Notice, I take no interest in anything else or anybody else, because anybody who has the interest of Trinidad and Tobago at heart will know that they have to align themselves with the UNC, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, and what is now being called the coalition of interests. Let's not waste time. So yes, indeed, people, we have come to the end. Yes, people, of course, don't forget tomorrow morning, the ground report, Andy, Michael, myself, as we continue with these and others. Don't forget, of course, tomorrow night, we are back here at 8 o'clock, and of course, we will be discussing much more. Of course, I had to, of course, vent a bit tonight because of the silliness and the ignoramus that, of course, is Cho Cheong, unprepared, but pretending, of course, that he is what he is not. As my professor would say, in human circumstance, what appears to be not always is. It might be a total dunce. Yes, indeed. And don't forget, of course, all the best for the rest of the night. And I will be talking to Archbishop Baba Greybook to see what we can strategize to, of course, derail the nonsense that is being spoken of in this lame duck cabinet and or government call young administration, having, of course, been abandoned by, of course, a total savage, a total miscreant called Keith Christopher Rowley, who has created all of this mess. It is shambolic. Yes, indeed.
Somebody's knocking at your door. Somebody's knocking at your door. Children, why?
My apology. It appears that my mic was off when I was speaking, but the point I was making is that, of course, we have a duty and responsibility to kick the PNM out of Lavatel, and, of course, all 39 seats must go to the UNC, and Lavatel must now be a part of the history that's been made. We only have, of course, about a month or so again in order to make certain that we solidly act in our own best interests. And it was the PNM that have deceived us, not we. We were too loyal when, of course, in 1986 we saved them. But in return, they, of course, give us pain, aid, agony, pepper, salt, and, of course, all kinds of what I consider decadence. Yes, indeed. So have a wonderful, again, rest of the night. Bye-bye.